back to ISW interview. My name is John, this is Odin, and my friend Adam. And today we'll be reflecting upon the Year 7 and 8 test week. So this week we had a test week. We were tested on lots of subjects. For English, we had a listening test, a writing test, and a reading comprehension test.
For German, we had the same exact thing. We had the listening, writing, and reading test. For the A group, it was just for the A group, which is the more German speakers, and the B group had a different test.
And some other tests were the maths and science tests. And then we also had a social studies test, which was a merge of geography and history.
Yeah. I'd say the most difficult one, in my opinion, was the history part of the whole thing, honestly, because it was more essay-style questions, long-style, 5-point, 10-point questions. And I just found that pretty difficult because you have to explain yourself too much.
Yeah, and there were a lot of them.
And most of them that I thought I'd have a big problem with were actually the easiest ones. Like, I thought science was going to be the worst one for me, but honestly, I think I did pretty good in that.
Yeah, the science and math tests weren't as bad as I thought they'd be. Usually the harder subjects.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. In the science test, I don't think we really went over the same stuff we learned as much.
Mm-hmm.
Like, most questions were logic.
Yeah.
Like, even a person who didn't study that, most questions they could answer because you could just, use your brain.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Also, we had different time amounts for the different tests. So, first test we took was the social studies test, yeah. We had an hour and a half for that. Most people used...
like an hour.
Yeah. Second test we had was a listening test. Most people found it easy. It was just you listen, you write the answer.
There was a 45-minute test, but it's not like you can go over it because once the recording stops, you're done and there's no more listening to it.
Yeah.
Each thing was played 2 times, so in case you misheard something or didn't hear anything, it was played again just in case.
Yeah. The next test was a reading test. I think that one was an hour and a half as well. It was this article that we had to read on this piece on the paper. It was about a rover in space that carried some stuff from Earth that was gonna.
It was about the Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 missions, which basically they've been sent into space to just explore, and they're currently past Neptune. And then there was a bunch of comprehension questions based on the text. We had an hour and a half for that. Most people didn't use all of it. It was
45 for an hour because honestly, I don't know. Our teacher told us read it first. I did not read it first. I read the questions first, then read it. So just in case I see this is an answer to one of the questions, I could write it down easier. Because then if I read the whole thing, I don't know. I feel like it would take more of my time, I guess. So,
yeah.
I don't know. I like reading questions first and then reading. And all the questions say in lines 10 to 15, so it basically gives you the answer.
Yeah, that was really helpful.
The next test was the math test, which we were also given an hour and a half for, and we needed it. A lot of people went very close to the time limit.
Some people even went over.
Yeah, but the test was not that bad. It wasn't. Okay. It was just a longer test.
It definitely went over everything we learned, and exactly over everything we learned. So that's good.
There were 2 different parts. One where you can use your calculator, and another one where you couldn't. I found that the ones with the calculator, I didn't really need the calculator that much. But for the other one, I really needed the calculator.
But I think, honestly, the without calculator was easier. Because I don't there's certain ways to use a calculator sometimes that I don't think we've been taught. And just, it made it difficult.
And then next we had the science test, which again, most people thought was a lot easier than they originally conceptualized. We had an hour and a half for that. No one really needed that much time, I don't think.
Yeah, most people finished pretty fast. Honestly, I hate finishing first because I feel like I went way too fast and I did it way too quick and just didn't answer anything or something. So I just wait for someone to give their test in first and then I turn my test. I just don't like the feeling of turning it in first.
And then this Friday, we had a German and English writing test. The German test, it really depended on your skill level.
Yeah.
A lot of people found it difficult. A lot of people found it pretty easy. Most people finished with plenty of time to spare, though.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think we had 90 minutes for it too, but I wasn't needed for almost anyone. Honestly, think that like if you speak German or have any like idea about it, even if you just paid attention in the classes we had, you could answer anything in that test. But there are certain things that were harder, like writing an email was one of them, which is harder because you could choose to write it formally and informally, and you use different like endings or past like tenses, and just it really did show if you are meant to be in the better class or not.
So this was for the German A tests. Do you want to talk about the German B test?
Sure. So the German B test, there's like two different groups in the German B. German 1 and German 2. It's like two different levels. I'm in German 1. And it was like any other test. We had to write some emails, answer some questions. Yeah.
And so then afterwards, the very last test of the test week was an English writing test. We were given 45 minutes and 3 options of a topic to write about.
We had to first plan our story and then begin writing our story. We had 2 pages to A4 pages of writing space. You could request more if you needed, but I'm pretty sure only like 1 or 2 people actually asked for it. So yeah, I think it was one of the easier tests, depending on if you like writing or not.
Yeah. I don't know if that's true. I'm not a big fan of writing, and it wasn't that difficult. 45 minutes was plenty of time.
Honestly, when I first heard 45 minutes, it was like, that's way too short. If he wants me to plan and everything, but it wasn't that bad. It was like, I was done way before that.
Yeah, I still had like a 20, 30 minutes.
It's like once you have an idea of what you're going to write, you just like...
Yeah, you keep writing it and you never stop.
Yeah, and then you just have a whole story.
That's why I don't really like the fact or like the idea of planning.
Yeah.
Because I always plan something and I switch it and I keep writing and then like... But this time I actually stuck to my plan and it worked.
So that concludes our test week in this episode of the ISW interview. Thanks for watching.
Bye-bye.
Welcome back to the ISW interview. My name is John.
Wait, no, Emmett, just cut this out.
Okay.
Emmett, cut this part out, please.